Hey Geeks, we're back with another Firefly Friday video. It's been a few weeks since we've done one of these, so we apologize for that. But this week we're reviewing Firefly Episode 3 titled Bushwhacked, and obviously spoiler warning in case you haven't seen it. So this is a pretty iconic episode, but there was a ton of stuff in it that we had completely forgotten about.
Yeah, like, I basically felt like we had never seen that episode before. It was like, occasionally I'd be like, oh, he's gonna see the helmet.
Exactly.
And then go around a corner and there's a helmet there, and I'm like, oh, but what happens next?
Yeah, and I was like, I remember Jane playing the trick on Simon and tricking him into wearing the spacesuit over to the derelict ship, and Simon looked like a complete, dumbass, because not only did he wear the suit over there and nobody else was wearing theirs, but he also put the suit on wrong. Yeah. And there was a lot of little things like that I had just completely forgotten about. And given that this is such an iconic episode, that's kind of surprising. So I'm kind of mad at myself that I did forget so much about it. Like, oh my gosh, the opening scene, I'm like, they're playing Quidditch in the cargo hold. It's like a basketball Quidditch hybrid. And that game looks super fun. I want to play it.
So in this episode, they find a derelict ship, and when they pull up to it, like these tentacles creep out and latch onto the ship, which makes you think that there's going to be a monster. And I totally forgot about the episode, so I was like, ooh, there's a monster!
Yeah. Like, I forgot that the monster in this episode is the guy who witnessed the Reavers, and so he became one. Yeah. And I'm the same. When I saw the tentacles come out, and I've legit seen this episode 5 times, and every time it's gotten me, I thought it was going to be a monster. But, and so when the tentacles came out, I was like, oh yeah, it's the octopus monster. And no, there's never an octopus monster.
No, it's a machine. It's a bomb.
Yeah. And I always forget about it, and when I watch it over, I'm like, oh yeah, they got me again.
Oh yeah, it was the Reavers, and that's a bomb.
Speaking of the Reavers, this is really kind of the first episode where we really get a sense as to what they really are. Yeah. Because we get kind of a look up close at one, because the guy witnessed the Reavers and turned himself into one. The horror of it was so bad that the only way his mind could adjust was to become it. Yeah. And Mal tells that to the Alliance commander, and I completely forgot about the Alliance showing up in this episode too.
Yeah, and it's like, up until now, it's been like a story, like we saw them from afar and they were terrified, but we hadn't seen what they done. It was just a story. So like, this was kind of our introduction. Like, we didn't even meet the Reavers in this episode, but it introduced you to this terrifying character for later.
Yeah, and the thing is I think for the rest of the season, we don't see like a Reaver face to face. This is the only time we do in the entire series until the film Serenity, and we get to see the Reavers very up close in that. Close, yeah. But damn, I mean, this was a terrifying episode. It was borderline a horror show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There are some super iconic lines of dialogue in this. Like Jane, when the survivor, before he became a Reaver, he got the drop on Jane, and Jane says, this big guy, he got the drop on me, didn't get a chance to see him. And then when he does come out, Simon kind of ribs him a little bit. He's like, yeah, the guy's huge. And Jane says, he looked bigger when I couldn't see him. Like, the Jane-isms are phenomenal.
He's got the best one-liners in the show.
With
ever.
Mal. Him and Mal have the best dialogue by far. Him and Mal. Yeah. Another iconic line from this episode is when Shepard tells Mal, how we treat our dead is what makes us different than those that did the slaughtering. And at first it seems like that kind of speaks to Mal, and maybe on some level it did. But he uses the funeral as cover to disarm the bomb, to have Kaylee disarm the bomb.
And like, that didn't get me this time. Like, as soon as he said that, I was like, no, Mal's got something up his sleeve. There's a reason why he's allowed him to do that. Like, I knew Mal had a plan. I just couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, and I fall for that one every single time as well. I'm like, oh, that kind of touched Mal on some level, and then no, he's using it for cover. But I think maybe on some level, I mean, because Mal is a soldier, and as a soldier, he's had to deal with burying the dead. So maybe as a soldier it spoke to him, not maybe on a religious level, but on a personal level as a soldier.
Yeah.
But the most iconic line from this episode is Mal's, and he says it may have been the losing side, but I'm not convinced it was the wrong side. And man, that that line speaks volumes even today, especially today.
Yeah, especially today.
And what's great is when the Alliance shows up, Mal and Simon have this really short argument where Simon's like, "You're gonna turn us over. We're just a bargaining chip for you." Da, 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 da. And Shepard, even though he doesn't know Mal all that well, he's spent the same amount of time with him that Simon has. He knows that Mal is not gonna rat them out.
Yeah, and I think the difference is that Shepard's not terrified for his sister's life, and had he been able to think about it clearly and not just immediately jump into terrified that his sister's going to be taken from him after all of this that he went through, I think he would have realized it too.
And they put him back in the suits, which Simon is terrified of. He's like, "I can't imagine just a piece of mylar being between me and nothingness." Well, that's literally the situation he gets put in when him and River are hiding on the outside of the ship. Overall, this is really one of the best episodes of the entire series, and I'm surprised that I had forgotten so much of it. And every time I watch it, I forget about the tentacles and I think it's going to be a monster.
So during the investigation of Mal's ship, he tells the Alliance, "You just blow up the ship and leave it." And the guy's kind of like, straight and narrow, "I can't do that, that's evidence, blah, blah, blah." And then after the entire thing happens and Serenity's pulling away, they blow up the ship. It's like he realizes, wow, yeah, no, we're not going to mess with this.
and it's kind of funny because this guy is a totally by-the-book guy. Mal totally calls it. He's on his first tour through the deepest part of the galaxy. And he's a totally by-the-book guy, and by the end of the episode, he's not really that much. He's less of a by-the-book guy.
Yeah, he's less. He still took the cargo. The salvage. He still took that.
Yeah.
But he did blow up the ship. So.
And I have a feeling that if Firefly had gone more than one season, this was a character, the commander of the Alliance ship. I think that's a character that we would have seen again.
Yeah, possibly, and even less by the book the next time around.
Yeah, like eventually maybe he would have left the Alliance and become an ally of the Serenity crew. Like I feel like that there was more there with that particular character.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we have for this video. If you have anything to add, let us know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this review, tell us by dropping a like on it and subscribe for more reviews.
And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.